The Forrester legacy, a son's revelation, a father's sins, and a vengeance years in the making. In the sun-drenched, high-stakes world of Los Angeles, where the Forrester, Logan, and Spencer families have built empires on fashion and desire, the past is never truly buried. It is a restless entity, a collection of ghosts and secrets that waits for the perfect moment to claw its way back to the surface. The latest bombshells dropped on the bold and the beautiful are no exception, as a shocking car crash, a decades-old secret, and the return of a vengeful matriarch threaten to shatter the fragile peace and redraw the lines of love, loyalty, and legacy forever. The drama ignites on a dark, rain-slicked road, where a violent crash leaves Ridge Forrester clinging to life. But this is no mere accident. It's the opening salvo in a war of retribution, a calculated move that sets off a chain reaction of revelations that will rock the Forrester dynasty to its very foundation. At the center of the storm is a secret son Ridge never knew he had, an unwitting accomplice caught in a web of deceit, and a mastermind whose thirst for revenge knows no bounds. As the family gathers in a sterile hospital waiting room, they are oblivious to the fact that the life-or-death struggle playing out in the ICU is just the beginning. The real battle is for the soul of their family, and the secrets about to be unearthed will leave no one unscathed. The crash and the confession, a legacy unravels. The night of the accident was a maelstrom of emotion and nature. Rain lashed against the Los Angeles asphalt as Ridge Forrester, his mind a tempest of family conflict, gripped the steering wheel of his luxury car. He had just stormed out of the Forrester estate following a fiery argument with both Brooke Logan and his daughter, Steffy. The women had confronted him about his growing, almost frantic obsession with protecting secrets from his past, a past he believed was securely locked away. But as headlights blazed into his path, forcing him to swerve violently, the past came rushing back with the force of a head-on collision. The crash was brutal. His car spun out of control, smashing through a guardrail and tumbling down a wooded embankment before coming to a mangled rest against a tree. The silence that followed was heavy, broken only by the hiss of steam from the crumpled hood. In the critical moments before he lost consciousness, a shadowy figure moved through the rain. Someone had been following him, waiting for this very moment. This was not fate. It was an assassination attempt. At the hospital, as Ridge lay in a coma, the Forrester and Logan clans descended into a familiar state of panicked vigil. The doctors delivered a grim prognosis, a severe head injury, multiple fractures, and an unknown prognosis. But the most critical piece of evidence from that night was not in the wreckage of the car, but tucked away in the pocket of Ridge's coat, a flash drive. It was Steffy, ever the pragmatist, who discovered it. What she found on that small device was a confession, a digital ghost story that rewrote the history she thought she knew. On the screen, her father's voice, recorded in the days leading up to the crash, detailed a secret he had carried for over 25 years. During a brief business trip to Europe, long before his life was so inextricably tied to Brooke and Taylor, he had a passionate affair with a young model named Veronica Blake. The affair was fleeting, but its consequences were not. Veronica became pregnant. Terrified of the scandal and its impact on his life and family, Ridge paid her to disappear, facilitated by a young Donna Logan, who, in an act of misguided loyalty, forged documents to create the illusion that Veronica had miscarried and the child had been lost. But the child had survived. That son, now a man named Leo Matthews, had been living and working in Los Angeles for the past year, ironically as a rising young designer at Forrester Creations. He was Ridge's protege, a talented young man whom Ridge had taken under his wing, completely unaware that he was mentoring his own flesh and blood. And for months, an unknown entity had been blackmailing Ridge, threatening to expose this life-altering secret. The flash drive was Ridge's insurance policy, his final, desperate attempt to control a narrative that had spiraled beyond his grasp. For Steffy, watching her father's confession, the world tilted on its axis. The man she had been sizing up as a potential rival for her own creative ambitions at the company was not just a colleague. He was her brother. The puppet master's return, Quinn Fuller's revenge. The architect of this chaos was a familiar and feared name in the Forrester saga, Quinn Fuller. Long since exiled from the family after her own betrayals, Quinn had been watching from the shadows, her heart hardened by what she perceived as Ridge's role in the destruction of her marriage to Eric. Her return was not merely to stir up trouble, it was a masterclass in psychological warfare, a long game of revenge designed to dismantle Ridge Forrester piece by piece. She had waited for years, holding on to the explosive knowledge of Ridge's secret son. Now, she was ready to detonate it. Her first move was to leverage Donna Logan's past crime. With the threat of exposing Donna's role in forging the fake death certificate, Quinn blackmailed her into becoming an unwilling pawn in her scheme. Quinn's vengeance was multifaceted. She didn't just want to expose Ridge's secret. She wanted to see him suffer. The tampered brake lines were her doing, a cold-blooded attempt to silence him permanently. When that failed, she orchestrated a second attempt on his life within the sanctity of the hospital itself. Disguised in scrubs, she infiltrated his room, intending to switch his medication with a lethal injection. The plot was only foiled by a sharp-eyed nurse who noticed the discrepancy just in time. The nurse, after being summarily fired for breaking protocol by speaking to the press, managed to pass a crucial piece of information to Steffy. She had seen another person lurking near Ridge's room that night, Deacon Sharp. The accusation sent a fresh wave of confusion through the family. Deacon, Brooke's ex-lover and Hope's father, had his own complicated history with the Forresters. When confronted by a frantic Hope, he admitted to being at the hospital but insisted he was there to protect Ridge, not harm him, as he too suspected Quinn was plotting something sinister. His presence, however, served as the perfect red herring, muddying the waters of an already complex investigation and allowing Quinn to slip further into the shadows. The fallout, a family in fragments. As Ridge slowly began to recover, the true fallout of Quinn's machinations began. The revelation of Leo's existence fractured the family along old and new fault lines. Steffy, grappling with the knowledge of a new half-brother, was torn between her fierce loyalty to the Forrester name and the sting of her father's decades-long deception. Thomas, ever protective of his position as Ridge's son and creative heir, viewed Leo with deep suspicion, seeing him not as family, but as a threat. Eric, the family patriarch, was left reeling from the depth of Quinn's treachery, a betrayal that cut deeper than any of her past transgressions. And Brooke, the woman who had stood by Ridge through countless storms, was once again left heartbroken by a secret from a past she could never fully escape. For Leo, the truth was a double-edged sword. He was suddenly an heir to a fashion dynasty, the son of a man he had long admired from afar. But this inheritance was built on a foundation of lies. In an emotional confrontation at Ridge's bedside, he begged for the truth. "Are you really my father?" he asked, his voice thick with a lifetime of unanswered questions. Ridge, still weak, could only grip his son's hand and nod, tears streaming down his face as he finally acknowledged the son he thought he had lost. It was a moment of fragile, heartbreaking reconciliation, a first step on a long and uncertain road. But Quinn's revenge was far from over. With Ridge and Leo beginning to forge a bond, she played her trump card. Anonymously, she leaked information about Leo's past to the tabloids, a sealed juvenile record revealing a teenage arrest for computer fraud and hacking. The headlines were sensational: fraud at Forrester, new designer exposed as former hacker. The scandal was immediate. Forrester Creation stock plummeted, investors panicked, and the board of directors called an emergency meeting to vote on Leo's future with the company. The fate of the new Forrester heir rested, in a twist of delicious irony, in the hands of Brooke Logan. With the board split, her vote would be the deciding factor. In a move that stunned everyone, particularly a seething Thomas, Brooke voted to keep Leo. "Let's not bury a man because of his youth," she declared to the stunned room. "Let's judge him by his actions now." She placed him on a 60-day probation, a decision born of empathy, but one that sowed new seeds of resentment within the family. In the shadows, Quinn seethed. Her plan had been thwarted, but her game was not over. Conclusion: a storm on the horizon. As the dust begins to settle on one crisis, the clouds of another are already gathering. The Forrester family is more fractured than ever. Ridge and Leo have a chance to build a relationship, but it is one born from trauma and overshadowed by scandal. The fragile truce between Steffy, Brooke, and Taylor has been shattered, replaced by renewed suspicion and a complex new family dynamic. And with Quinn Fuller still at large, a master manipulator with a deep-seated grudge and a proven willingness to kill, no one is safe. The coming weeks promise a cascade of dramatic confrontations. Will Leo prove himself worthy of the Forrester name, or will his past be too much for the company to bear? Can the family ever truly forgive Donna for her role in the decades-long lie? And what is Quinn's next, even more diabolical move? With Ridge's health still precarious and his family at war, the stage is set for a season of betrayals, power plays, and emotional reckonings. The great Ridge Forrester may have survived the crash, but the real storm is just beginning. Thanks for watching this video. Please hit the subscribe button for more updated news.